Welcome. It's About Town Deb and Amber Hale, leading with love as always. I am in LA, California. I've been in Palm Desert and Burbank. And Amber, where have you been?
I've been in Costa Rica.
So I want you to stay tuned because we're going to be talking about travel, about experiencing new things and creating new stories. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
In Nevada near the silver mines, there's a kind-hearted woman. She's looking so fine, always taking care of her community, bringing folks together is her cup of tea. She's out on the road and all over the web with a big smiling heart. It's About Town Deb.
Welcome. It's About Town Deb and Amber Hale. Amber is always, she leads with love. I am actually leading with travel this week because I am in Los Angeles, California right now. I've been in Palm Desert, been in Burbank, going back to Burbank, and then I'm coming back to Reno. And Amber, where have you been?
Well, mainly I've been in Costa Rica visiting my best friend, but I was in a few other little spots too, just on the way there, trying to get there. I had a 15-hour layover in the Mexico City airport.
Oh, I can't wait to hear about that. So I'm going to start with a quote, and then I'm going to thank our sponsors, because the quote kind of goes with what we both just were talking about. Mm. Life is meant for good friends and great adventures.
Oh, see? Yes.
I didn't even know you were going to say that. So I love when that happens. So we want to thank Surratt Law, Crystal Basin Cellars. We also want to thank Musicians Rehearsal Center, Angel Fenix Media, and Rehearsal Center is in Sparks, Nevada, where Amber and I normally are recording, but we are honestly, when we say keeping it real, leading with love, honestly, I am using my phone. I had to write my notes just for fun. I'm using this for a light. And
I love that. That's such a great
I know, and I have the phone up on a cat food thing with another thing. So, and I have a chair here to keep me from moving. The show must go on. So we are ready to start the show officially now. So Amber, where do you want to start us on the adventure today?
Well, I mean, I'll start you off with my 15-hour layover in Mexico City.
Yes.
As an avid traveler, I like cheap flight tickets.
Okay.
Sometimes when you get a cheap ticket, you got to bite the bullet a little bit. So yeah, I ended up having a 15-hour layover in Mexico City. And I've done the whole sleep in the airport thing before. Like, it's all good. Like, I'm young, I can handle it. But there was literally construction at like 2 a.m. in the airport. It was terrible.
So you couldn't sleep?
No, couldn't sleep. I couldn't sleep at all. So I was definitely exhausted the next day. Finally made it to my destination in Costa Rica. Like I said, I was visiting my best friend. And it was worth it. It was definitely worth it. But I think my trip back was actually much more rough. I lost my wallet while I was in Costa Rica, like 2 days before I left.
No. Amber, how do you get on an airplane? Oh, you had your passport maybe?
My wallet actually ended up getting returned to me. Yeah.
There are good people.
Yeah. So what happened was I had taken a taxi. It was like one of those decisions that you make while traveling. Like, am I actually going to do this? So I ended up paying an outrageous amount of money for someone to drive me 2 hours to my next destination. And they had to drive back because like that's where they were from. So I had to pull out cash from an ATM in the little town that I was in to give to the taxi driver. And in the midst of that happening, I dropped my wallet like in the taxi. And I didn't realize it until like 11 o'clock that night when I had got home. So my friend who speaks Spanish called the taxi man for me and told him what happened. He found my wallet in his back seat. He dropped it off at the hostel that I was staying at. And then one of my tour guides who like guided me through a trek in the jungle was coming near the town that I was staying in. And he drove 30 minutes out of his way to drop it off to me at the airport, literally an hour and a half before my flight.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
that, you know what? That gives me faith in mankind.
No, it was literally like a procession of people, of just good people. Like from my cab driver to the people at the hostel to like my tour guide, like all amazing. I think it was meant to happen. You know what I mean?
Oh, you mean to show goodwill or for patience?
Like, look at all of these. Yeah, look at all of these great people, like who really helped me out, because I would have been screwed.
Well, you wouldn't have been on a plane.
No, I know.
Right?
No, I know.
So what would you have done? I mean, honestly, so when this situation happens, I wonder what people actually do if you lose your passport or wallet.
Yeah.
Has that
I've not.
I don't know.
I've got no clue. Probably just go to the airport and be like, help.
Help
me. What do I do?
I would be, hey Siri, what do I do when I lose my wallet and I'm traveling? And I'd be calling my cousin Lucy crying, like, help.
I felt like a newbie. I was like, I know how to travel. This is ridiculous.
Well, you travel a lot for your young age, my friend.
Right.
And I love that. I love that it seems like our young adults from like 18 to 30 are traveling way sooner than I would have never thought of traveling. I did go to Hawaii when I was 17 for graduation, but that was my big adventure. And I went with 3 girlfriends. So you, my friend, get brave and you book a trip and you'll just go by yourself.
You know what? I actually have more. I want to build on what you just said, because I made an observation on this most recent trip that I want to share, but I believe that we're going to be going into a break right now.
Okay, we'll be right back. Devin in.
Now more than ever, family matters, and Surratt Law Practice has your family in mind. Kimberly Surratt and her team have been helping maintain healthy families through their holistic approach to adoption and surrogacy, child custody, estate planning, and more for over 13 years. Your family law concerns are in caring hands with Surratt Law. Schedule your private consultation with a compassionate Surratt Law Practice team member today by calling 775-636-8200 or visiting lawyersforfamilies.com. Surratt Law, where family matters.
You're enjoying this episode on Angel Phoenix Productions Podcast Network. To explore a complete lineup of quality programs and media production services, head on over to angelphoenix.com or like our Facebook page at facebook.com/Angel Phoenix Productions.
She's out on the road and all over the web with a big smiling heart. It's About Town Deb.
My town, your town, or any town, this is About Town Deb presents City Talk. Now, back to the show.
Welcome back. It's About Town Deb Amber. And Amber was chatting about traveling, and I was asking her about, she's so brave to travel solo, but this time she did travel to go see her best friend. So I find that so cool that she just does these things. I want to be like Amber. So can you tell me how to be like you, Amber? Jeez.
Well, you know, it's I think it's a group effort there's many little facets that you have to kind of get through. Like, you know, coming out of your comfort zone, that's one. And I want to talk about that.
Yes, please.
Later. But you had mentioned before that you never really thought about traveling until like you were older. And so this past trip to Costa Rica, I went to visit my best friend. Her name's Tiff. She is studying at the university in Heredia, Costa Rica. So that's why I was there. And I did take some time to kind of go be off on my own. I went to La Fortuna and did a trek in the jungle and swam in a waterfall, and it was amazing. But one of my favorite parts about traveling is like, staying in hostels and all of that, is meeting other travelers. And I actually met quite a few people from Europe, which like I've backpacked Europe as well. And I had a conversation with a gentleman who was, he was 19. He was even younger. He was younger than me. When I did my first solo trip, I was 19. And, we started chatting, and I said, like, why are you here? Like, what made you want to come here? Where have you been? And when he graduated, he just had saved up a bunch of money to go and literally tour the world. And I have met so many people, so many young people from Europe who do this. And it's the amount of people who do this from other countries compared to the United States is absolutely insane. Like, I was having a conversation with him about how, like, none of my friends who I graduated high school with would go and do something like this. They would never travel or want to go like on a backpacking trip. Whereas like Europeans, like, that is something that is incorporated into their lives, like that their parents did. Their parents like went and traveled when they were like, in their 20s. And it's so much more common. And he said, like, yeah, everybody that I've gone to school with has like done traveling after primary school. And I just think it's so interesting that that's not a bigger part of the American culture. And he thought it was strange, like me saying that, like, me traveling abroad at like a young age is something that, not as many people from our culture do.
Well, that's true. Like I said, I mean, I went with girlfriends, and it was always our graduation trip. You go with your friends, you save up, and usually you go to Hawaii. That's kind of the place to go, because at the time I was in Burbank, and I have amazing memories of that. And for us, we went just us four girls, and that was like a big deal to our parents for us at 17 to get on a plane and go to Hawaii. That was like, and back then Hawaii was a lot smaller. But we went to Maui, and we just thought we were so cool. We were dancing all night.
You were cool.
I was cool. I don't know. I was a little dorky, but I feel like now I wish, and it's on my bucket list. I would love to. I don't know whether it'll ever happen. I'm keeping it real here, but I would love to pick a spot, maybe start out smaller, like maybe somewhere more locally,
like
and go by myself, stateside, and go by myself. I can get on my plane and I could go to Burbank or Palm Springs, because I know I'm going to get picked. My cousin picks me up, or my aunt picks me up, or my friends pick me up, and they drive me all over town. I don't even drive when I'm here. I'm afraid to drive in the traffic. I can't imagine what I would do. I'd have to get a driver wherever I was at. I would be Ubering it the whole time and afraid. I don't know.
Public transportation. You got buses, you got trains.
But how do you know like what bus or train to get on? Like,
no, in Costa Rica, literally, if it wasn't for this girl at the bus station on the side of the freeway in San Jose, Costa Rica, I wouldn't have known what bus to get on. Like, she spoke great English. I don't speak Spanish. They speak Spanish there. And if it wasn't for her name was Alba. We are now friends. Bless Alba. I wouldn't have known what bus to get on.
So what would have happened if she wouldn't have been there? What would you have done? Just got on a bus, see where it took you? Or
probably, yeah.
You would. I would be like, I don't know what I'd be doing. I would be afraid.
No, you do it. You are afraid. You are afraid, and you do it afraid.
Whew. So as you've been doing traveling and meeting people, was there ever a time you felt like, oh, I just made a bad decision by connecting? I don't know if they told me the right way to go. Did you always have the confidence knowing that the right person told you where to go at the right time?
No, I definitely, this past trip, I actually had 2 very emotional moments where I completely broke down crying because I was scared and didn't know, like, my plans weren't happening. My plans weren't happening as I wanted them to. And that's kind of something that I wanted to talk about today, is like the things that we learn while traveling. And one of those things that we learn while traveling is, I think, to be more patient and kind of forget the plan. Sometimes the plan's not going to work. A lot of the times the plan's not going to work. And the bus that you were supposed to get on went by you at 70 miles per hour on the freeway. And now you don't know what to do. So what do? You talk to the person standing next to you and you figure that shit out.
Yeah.
Please excuse me.
We're keeping it real. No, it's okay. Honestly, but I feel that way. Like when I go to the wine country with Georgia, or I go somewhere, usually it's Georgia and I are doing a trip, we'll take a wrong turn, or we'll end up somewhere we didn't think we're going to end up. And we always meet somebody really cool. And we always end up feeling like, wow, it's like, I'm so glad that we took that wrong turn, because now we met this person and they shared their story. They told us where to go, but got a new restaurant, went to a local place we wouldn't have found. So I agree with you. And I know that, like, George and I always say that, like, when we're traveling, it's okay. We're like, it's okay. If we don't make it there tonight, we make it tomorrow night. We're just going to go with the flow. And it never fails. When we go with the flow and we don't like buck the system and get all like, oh my gosh, we always have a better time. And we always say, it's okay. If they can't go, or the bus does, well, no buses for me, but if we can't get a reservation where we're going to stay, we stay somewhere else, and it never fails. So I totally understand that. I would just rather have those things happen in my local community, my local state.
Right. Yeah, totally. I mean, something else that I feel like that travel teaches us, which I'm like, I've never been addicted. I don't have an addictive personality. I can say that I don't think I've ever been addicted to something in my life except for travel. That feeling, that pushing yourself out of your comfort zone and, experiencing those things that are on the other side of fear. When you do it scared and you overcome it and you leave your comfort zone, I think that is just the best.
So just hearing you say that, I can't breathe. Like, I mean, I get it. I totally get it. But you get out of your comfort zone even when you're by yourself. Yeah. See, I can get out of my comfort zone if I'm in a safe space where I know people or somebody's with me. But I don't know if I ever got outside my comfort zone by myself, ever. Like, from the time I was 18, I was married at 18. So I was never really alone. I never lived alone. I always, anyway.
Yeah. Traveling, solo travel, is honestly, I think everybody should do it, because you really learn a lot about yourself, and how you say that you have those emotions and experiences that you were just describing. When you are on your own, you kind of start to realize it's not a bad thing to be alone, and you start having thoughts that I think that you would only be able to actually experience and come to that conclusion and get to that point while being alone, while literally being in a country and going, I don't know anybody here except for myself. And that self-reliance and that growth that happens while literally being alone, I think it's important. And I think it makes you a better person, honestly.
So what would you feel, because you've done quite a few solo trips, what was the scariest moment, and what was the most adventurous, yes, I did it moment?
I think probably the scariest moment that I have had in all of my travel was the night before I went on my first solo trip. I literally was in my bedroom crying, saying that I wanted to cancel the whole thing. I was like, what the fuck? There's no way. Yeah. There's no way. Literally, I had insurance on all of the stuff I had booked.
Just in case, right?
Yeah. And I was like, I'm canceling all of it. I'm not going. What am I? No way. That was probably the scariest moment. And I think probably the most, adventurous moment. I'm going to correlate this to what I consider to be the best day of my life. And that was sitting on top of the Swiss Alps in Grindelwald, Switzerland. Just literally, I felt like I was on top of the world looking out over everything.
That is so cool. I would say, actually, Switzerland was one of my favorite moments, too.
Really?
I actually did go to Switzerland. Yes, I went to Switzerland, I think once or twice, married, before kids. Yeah. And I would say Switzerland was one of my very favorite places. Probably I was the happiest there.
Yeah.
That was my
Yeah.
Is it about time for break? I'm not sure. See, we're totally keeping it real because Amber's in charge and I don't even have a clock. This is how we're keeping it.
Let's roll into segment 3.
Okay, we'll be right back.
You're enjoying this episode on Angel Phoenix Productions Podcast Network. To explore a complete lineup of quality programs and media production services, head on over to angelphoenix.com or like our Facebook page at facebook.com/Angel Phoenix Productions.
You know that's what she said. Come on, let's have some fun with About Town Deb.
My town, your town, or any town, this is About Town Deb presents City Talk. Now, back to the show.
Welcome back. It is Deb and Amber. We are talking about traveling and getting outside of our zone, our comfort zone. And I'm anxious just hearing Amber talk about how she gets outside of her comfort zone. So I am going to do another quote because I just think we should. Sometimes the hardest part of the journey is believing you are worth the trip. That is Glenn Beck. And I'm going to add one quick thing. I was watching a travel adventure video on a Zoom last night with my cousin Lucy, and they were talking about doing a riverboat tour. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, this is going to be so much money. And all the photos were so beautiful. I'm like, it would be so cool to go with family or maybe by yourself. I don't know. But I can't afford that. But I feel like I should start saving money and take a trip that is totally outside my realm. Like, this is a trip I would never be able to afford. I would never do, and say, I'm going to do this. It's in 2 years or 1 year, and I'm going to start saving. And even if I don't have it, I'm going to make it happen. Because like you said, I really feel like getting out of the comfort zone and going to, the places look so beautiful. I could just see me being in heaven and taking photos and walking the streets. I love looking at your photos when you post, when you travel, because you just embrace each moment. I watch you enjoy the scenery, the landscape, the food, the culture, the flowers. You enjoy every moment. You're just not there just to take a trip. You are there to feel the trip. And there's a difference. You can go on a trip and go through it, but you, my friend, when I watch you, you can tell your whole heart and soul is in every step you take. So that's a gift that you have, that you're able to do that.
I'm glad that I can portray and convey that to people.
You did.
That makes me happy. Aw, you notice, you care.
Well, that's what I'm saying. When I saw that video last night, it was like not Amway, something water tours. But I was looking at it going, I want to be that person in the photo. I want to be walking on that path.
Yeah, this past trip, the Costa Rica trip, has by far been the most out of my comfort zone, out of my realm that I've ever been in.
Why is that?
Yeah, well, I was in a lot of areas where with not a lot of English speakers. So trying to figure that out. And just the culture is very, very different. Central America is just very, very different than the United States or Europe. And something that I feel like is a really big takeaway for me on this trip is smiling is the universal language.
Yeah.
I remember there was, I honestly think this is something that I've said before and I stick by it because it's what I've experienced in my travels. The world hates Americans unless you're in a tourist destination. And oh my, not being able to speak Spanish in several situations on this trip, I encountered some really rude freaking people. Even people who did speak English, I encountered some really rude freaking people. And so I kind of was taking it personally. Every time I had an experience with somebody who you could tell they were annoyed because I was American or not, I couldn't speak Spanish or understand what they were saying. I kept walking away from those moments feeling really down, and I didn't want to feel down. So I was like, you know what? The next person that I try to talk to, or I have to figure something out, I'm just going to smile so big and I'm going to be so friendly and so nice that they are going to have to be kind to me. So yeah, a smile is the universal language and goes so far.
Well, I mean, if you think about when we all had to wear masks, it totally took away our personalities.
Yeah.
I mean, think about that because I was in Burbank and I was at mass with my family. You know, I have my little cough thing that hopefully I'll figure it out soon. I knew that if I coughed in a church setting, I would empty a church. So I put my mask on just in case. So if I had a little cough, I was being respectful of them. I remember then they asked us to take the gifts up, and I'm like, I wish they could see me. I'm so excited. But you couldn't see me. Hopefully my eyes glowed. But it was so cool to be a part of the culture, to be asked to do this it's the church where I grew up. But it was nice to be there. But I felt like I have a mask on. They can't tell that I'm really happy to be here. I get that. So it makes a difference. I mean, you with that smile, you're showing them, hey, I'm here and I love it here. Please help me. Please help me.
No.
But if you're frowning and grumpy, they're not going to want to help you. If you're like, oh, help, they're going to say, who are you? But that's the right way to go about it. So it is the universal language is the smile.
Yeah, absolutely. And, just being in other places where the culture is different, you are going to you just absorb so much more information and just seeing how people live their daily life. Like I came back I landed in San Francisco and just literally driving down the street and there being street lights and signs that people actually follow the laws was really
do they?
very grateful. I felt very grateful for that.
So when you're in another country, you don't find that? Or
No. Just this past trip specifically, like Costa Rica, the culture there, the culture in Costa Rica is probably the most different cultural culture that I've been around from my own. Culture shock for sure. It was very, very similar to my time in Indonesia. Although I found Indonesian people to be a lot more friendly than Costa Rican people.
I agree. I think I totally can see that. That's great though. I mean, I forgot you went there. So how many places, since we're talking about different destinations, how many different destinations and what's the most unforgettable destination?
In general or just this trip specifically?
Well, I mean, how many have you taken? Think about it. I've taken probably 2 or 3 out of the country, but not solo trips or with more family trips. But where are some of the places you've been to? I just want to show the example of you've branched out. So what places have you gone?
So my first big trip that I did on my own is I went to Iceland. That was really fun. I have been all over Mexico, Indonesia, Bali, France, Paris. Now Costa Rica, Switzerland. That was amazing. Switzerland was my favorite. I think I said that already.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. So would that be your most unforgettable?
Oh, yes.
You have okay, that's the most unforgettable.
Before,
did you have the best?
Before Switzerland, my favorite trip was Iceland, and Switzerland just blew me out of the freaking water. It was insane. Yeah.
Okay, here's another little personal. What?
Also, after my Costa Rica trip, I feel like I have been spoiled with European travel. Being able to get around Europe is so easy. And I'm like, okay, well now I feel like I've really traveled, catching buses on the side of the freeway.
Wow, I can't even imagine that. That is scary. I can't believe you did that.
You should see my friend Tiff. My friend Tiff has traveled all over Ecuador and Chile and all of those places, just trying to catch buses and stuff. She's really out there.
So I have a personal question. While you traveled in all these adventurous places, did you ever meet anybody special that you stayed connected with, girl or guy?
Many people, many people. Actually, this past trip from Costa Rica, I probably have 5 or 6 new friends that I would say.
I love that. It is so cool. Anybody's real special? Just, ever in the time?
Nothing that has ever, I don't know, maybe nothing too noteworthy. I'm also get a little reserved and shy.
I can't believe you're ever shy. Yeah.
I swear.
What?
I said, I swear. No, I am. It's all.
I thought you said you don't want to know what I thought you said. Oh. Anyway, I'm just saying I'm in awe of you, Amber. And there's so many young adults out there who have the courage and they're brave and they're adventurous. And I feel like we all should be a little bit more like you.
Oh, I appreciate that. I think it's what you asking about if I had met anyone. I think that's also one of the things that I have learned from traveling is, we are more like meeting people with strangers. Or making friends with strangers is a really like exhilarating feeling. And it really brings you down to earth. And like, you have the together we are one heart. And something that my mother always says is we are more alike than different. And I think that is something that I take away from traveling quite often, a lot.
I agree. I have to say, I love airports. Love airports. I love to go 2 hours early. I love to go sit at the bar, have a glass of wine or even a coffee, whatever. And I love looking and picking people who I think would be interesting to sit next to. Mm-hmm. And I purposely or if nobody's there, I look and think, who's going to sit next to me? And I'm like, I always person say, hey, are you coming home? Are you going? Tell me about it. And people seem to either like, whoa, like, who are you? Or they embrace it. And I end up meeting a new friend. And I've met so many people sitting next to me on the plane or that time for break. We have one final break.
One more, yep.
Okay, we're going to go on a break. We'll come back. We'll continue the conversation.
Now more than ever, family matters, and Surratt Law Practice has your family in mind. Kimberly Surratt and her team have been helping maintain healthy families through their holistic approach to adoption and surrogacy, child custody, estate planning, and more for over 13 years. Your family law concerns are in caring hands with Surratt Law. Schedule your private consultation with a compassionate Surratt Law Practice team member today by calling 775-636-8200 or visiting lawyersforfamilies.com. Surratt Law, where family matters.
You're enjoying this episode on Angel Phoenix Productions Podcast Network. To explore a complete lineup of quality programs and media production services, head on over to angelphoenix.com or like our Facebook page at facebook.com/Angel Phoenix Productions.
Ready to help from her toes to her head. Just give her a shout. Call About Town Deb.
My town, your town, or any town, this is About Town Deb presents City Talk. Now, back to the show.
Welcome back. It's our final segment. Amber, it goes too fast when you're on the show.
I know.
And I want to give a shout out. My mom, Grandma B, is so excited because you are one of her favorite co-hosts with me. She goes, she's like, my mom, I love Amber. I love the way she shares her stories and she's so wise. And I'm actually at Grandma B's apartment right now in like the little dining area. The kitchen's over here in Los Angeles. Hopefully you can see some palm trees behind me. I love palm trees. And this visit was also my birthday visit, but it was also for a celebration of life memorial burial for Pauline, like an aunt and a best friend for like 50 years to my mom. So, traveling to me, it seems like lately my travel has been for family to help them go through their life, which, we're going through boxes and we're looking at photos. And it was so cool because I was a little stink pot and Pauline was always my disciplinarian. She would always be, don't do this. My mom was like, yay. She was like, really, she's amazing and fun. But Pauline was the disciplinarian if we'd go on a trip. So I always thought, man, she's a toughie, but she's so good. I mean, she just was strict, but in a good way. So I'm looking through it. So I'm like, here's a photo of me. Here's this of me.
Oh, that's so fun.
So I actually, that was just before the show. I was thinking, did she even like me? I knew she did. But then I wish I had the photos right here. There was 2 photos. There was a photo of me before I went to Terry and Tony's, and I would look like a little rugrat and, like this. And then Terry and Tony liked to get my hair done. So the next photo, Pauline is like holding me in her lap, and I had my hair done like at a salon at age 7. So I had the poofy with the bangs. And it was,
That's adorable.
I wish. I know it. I may just. I'm going to look. Hold on. I got to show you.
Yes, I really want to.
Here we go. Okay. Can we see this? Can you see that? I'm going to hold it still. Okay. I'm in the middle. Okay.
Oh my gosh, you're cute.
That's me. Now here we go. A few months later.
Oh wow. Put it over a little bit more. Put it over. Yeah. There you go.
This way.
Nice. Yeah.
Right there.
Yeah.
So can you see the hair? The difference?
Oh yeah.
I don't know what child got their hair done at that age like that, but I always
you look like a little housewife.
I look like what?
A little housewife.
A little miniature. I think I look like Harriet of Ozzie and Harriet. If you know what that is. or Leave It to Beaver's mom. I don't know. Like as a 7-year-old, look. Anyway, I'm just saying it was been really cool though to see these photos and to know that as a child, just to see that I was loved. I mean, I know I was loved, but to see those memories was really cool. So my travel lately has been traveling back in time with family memories, remembering and helping celebrate their lives. Because I seem to be the one that does all the celebrating, the writing and the memories and the obituaries and all that. So today it's been a really cool trip to go through memory lane. So that is why I'm here, and that is my trip. But I would love you to finish some of your thoughts on travel for the show ends.
I think at the end of the day is, ever since I was little, I've definitely grown up with the idea of experiences over material. So like, experiences over possessions, or like, being able to not put an emphasis on like the material things, which obviously I like material things too. Like I like to have nice things. But I spend my money on plane tickets and like,
okay. Well, I did not know you were going to say that. And here's the final quote.
Oh my gosh.
Have stories to tell, not stuff to show.
Yes. Look how connected we are.
I have goosebumps. Seriously. Because you do so this is how connected. I was emailing Amber to just throw some topics out the same time she texted me her topic. How cool is that?
And it was about travel.
And I was looking at quotes on travel, not knowing she was going to say what she said, and I went with her. So, okay, continue. I'll just keep it real. I
love that. That makes me so happy. But yeah, to enjoy the moments in your life over the possessions, and finding beauty in those small moments. And I feel like I've done the touristy crap. I've went to the Eiffel Tower and did that. But I think the parts of traveling that I find and I get the most out of are the little moments. Walking down the street and seeing a family celebrating a girl's birthday, and being able to just stand and watch and seeing these people bring this cake out to her, singing her happy birthday in Spanish, and just thinking about like, wow, this is like a moment in her life. Like it was in Costa Rica. I was walking through one of the neighborhoods and I saw literally this happening, and it was her 22nd birthday. There was a little tutu in the cake, and I was just walking through like the residential in this very like touristy town in the jungle. And you could tell that like this area that I was walking in, like a lot of travelers, like it wasn't on the main drag of like the little town, but it was like on the outskirts through where like the people, the locals who work and run that town, it's where they lived. Yeah. And it was just this family like bringing this cake out, singing her happy birthday. And I'm like, that's a moment for her in her life. Like this is her 22nd birthday. And like being able to witness that moment was really crazy. And like it literally brought me to tears. And I walked down the street a little bit more, and there was a mom with a little kiddie play pool like on their patio, and her little babies were playing in it, and like the family was sitting outside, and like the dad was in his work clothes probably after like a long day of work, just like enjoying watching his kids play in this little pool. And it's like, you know, this is on the other side of the world, and yet like these people are just living their life, and like that's what you do, and like we're over here every day living our lives, and we truly are all one and the same.
I agree. That's our Together We're One Heart.
Right.
And speaking of that, I have a necklace that my mom got me. It's a heartbeat. And it just was pretty special. She knows I have Together We're One Heart. And we shared a heartbeat, you know, before when I was inside her tummy. So it's kind of cool that I'm wearing this. I'm hoping that she'll just pop in and give a wave. Will you do that? She's going to do
Grandma
it.
B. Let's see.
She's going to pop in. So you get to meet Grandma B.
Yeah.
She's going to, there's Amber.
Hi, Amber.
I told Amber how much you love when she's on the show.
I do. I love you.
That's amazing. Oh my gosh. I'm going to
So
bless
is there any words of wisdom you want to share with us right now?
No, I can't think of anything.
Well, do you want to say anything that, like, I don't know, something fun?
You put her on the spot, Deb.
I put her on the spot. I do that to Amber all the time, but she just pops right in with something.
No, I can't think of anything.
Okay. Well, I'm just grateful to be here with you.
Thank you.
Okay.
I know you are. Me too.
Okay. There we go.
Me too.
So
See, I'm sharing a little bit.
at the beginning of the show, I quickly texted my friend Tiff, the girl that I went to Costa Rica to visit. And she's been studying abroad for the past 6 months and backpacking in Patagonia and all of those things. And I asked her, I said, off the cuff, what has travel taught you? Like, quick.
Okay.
And she says, it's brought me the understanding that no matter what I do, I know I can figure it out. And then she also said, it has humanized the world for me and showed me how similar humans really are. So like a very, very similar takeaway.
That is pretty. So I think you need to write that down and put that. That's a really good quote. The first part, especially. Mm-hmm. I think that we all have those quotes inside of us, and we say things and we don't realize it. But I think if somebody says something, we should probably like repeat it on our recorder on our phone, because sometimes those are the best things when you this comes out of your heart, and it helps us remember that we are together and that we need to love and be kind and have grace with each other. So traveling will
celebration.
do all that. Yeah. Is there anything that you want to share while we're here? I'm sure it's getting towards the end.
Oh yeah. Another thing that I feel like you learn while traveling is you learn how to be street smart. You know, you don't. You kind of have to. You kind of got to be quick with it. It's a skill. It's a skill. See, but
I know it's a skill.
If you solo traveled, if you went and solo traveled and put yourself out of the comfort zone and did it scared and was afraid in those moments, you would no longer feel as much that way. I don't want to say you would no longer feel that way at all, because you still do get scared, but you would. It really opens a lot of doors.
So where would you say for somebody like me would be a good first adventure?
Anywhere in Europe, any big city in Europe.
You're saying that's a good first adventure, not like going to San Diego?
No.
I'm just saying. So
I would say pick a city, pick a city, even in the United States. It could be San Francisco.
New York.
It could be New York. Yeah.
New York. That's like you could take JetBlue from Reno to New York.
Oh yeah, there you go. Pick a city and just do it scared. That's what I say.
But then you at least get help on where to stay, don't you? You at least Google that. You show up without a room, do you?
You would do both. You could do either or. Maybe you have the first few nights booked and then you kind of, go from there. See, but I don't know if you would want to do the hostel thing. Also, I think our show is in 30 seconds.
Oh, it's 30 seconds. So we're going to say thank you to everybody out there. Love, be kind, have grace, and travel about and know together we're one heart. Thank you, Amber.
Thank you, Deb.
This podcast was a production of Angel Phoenix Productions. Explore more episodes of this show or other great shows on the Angel Phoenix Podcast Network by visiting angelphoenix.com. The views expressed in this show do not necessarily represent those of Angel Phoenix Productions or its advertisers and may contain language that's unsuitable for younger listeners.